Hello soulmates and welcome back. In today's video we're learning how to cut this lovely Bubu dress with a built up neckline and gathers. This dress also has two side pockets and belts on both sides of the waist. If this is something you're interested in, you definitely want to keep on watching. Make sure to subscribe and also give me a like. Thank you. These are the materials I'll be working with. I have this African print fabric and you'll be needing about 3 years of it. I have this light crepe here and also have this paper stay and my scissors and other sewing tools. Now these are the measurements that I'll be using. Gown length 37, bust 33, waist 27, hip 36, shoulder 15, sleeve length 12 and round sleeve 17. Now to know the amount of fabric you are going to be placing on fold, go ahead and divide the shoulder measurement by 2. So dividing 15 by 2, I have 7.5. So I'm going to add the sleeve length to this 7.5. So I'll bring down the 7.5. I'm going to add 13 inches for the sleeve length. I will also add 0.5 inch to this measurement. So adding 7.5 plus 13, I have 20.5, and adding 0.5, this 0.5 is going to be the allowance that we're going to use to join the crepe fabric to the sleeve. So in total I have about 21 inches. So this is the amount of fabric that I will place on fold for the front and also for the back. Now let's work on the length. So we are working with a gown length of 37, and you know that this dress has like two parts. The first part goes from the shoulder to around the hip line, and the second part went from the hip line to the normal dress length. Now the gown length you're working with is 37 inches. Let's say the first part is going to be about 25 inches. 25 inches here for the first part, and taking out 25 from 37, yeah, the 25 inches for the first part or the first layer. Now taking out 25 from 37, we'll have about 12 inches. Now this 12 inches is going to be for the second part or the second layer. Now adding these two together will give us our dress length of 37 inches, but we are not going to stop there. Now this 25 inches we are going to add, we are going to be joining this on the shoulder, and also we're going to be joining the lower part to the first part. Now we'll add 1 inch to the 27 and we're going to have 26 inches. Now for the second part, which is 12 inches, you're going to be adding 2 inches to that to make it 14 inches. Half will be to join the upper part, and the remaining 1.5 is going to serve as folding at the lower parts. Now these are the measurements I will be needing. Now I've placed my fabric here on fold. The length is going to be 26 inches for the first layer and the width is 21. You can have more depending on you, or this is just the measurement I want to work with. So you can see that I folded for the front and also for the back, and I'm going to be cutting it together. Now the first thing I went ahead to do is to rule a straight line here. So I'm going to start marking from this straight line. Now I already have the length here. The length is 26 inches, just what I calculated, and the width is 21. You should have about 21 inches, or depending on what you are using after calculating yours. So for me I have 21 inches. So I got this 21 inches by dividing my shoulder measurement by 2 and adding my sleeve length plus 0.5 inch of allowance. Now the first thing I went ahead to do is to mark 7.5 inches, which is half of my shoulder measurement. I also marked the sleeve length plus 0.5 here at the top. And now after marking, I'll come over to the center fold here to mark the neck width. Now I'm going in by 3 inches for the neck width. Now remember that we folded both the front and the back. So we're marking 3 inches for the neck width for both front and back, and for the neck depth, we're just going to be marking for the back only. Now I came down by 1.5 inches for the neck depth for the back, and we're just going to mark that. Now after marking, go ahead and connect this into a round neckline. Now for the front, you're going to be doing that much later. I've already marked the shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I also marked the sleeve length plus 0.5 inches. Now at that point, I'll go ahead and come down by the round sleeve. The round sleeve for me is 17 inches. Divided that by 2, I have 8.5. Now I'll go ahead and add another half inch to that because you're going to be joining the shoulder at that point. So I'll go ahead and mark 9 inches. After marking 9 inches, I'll use my straight ruler to connect from this point to that point there at the shoulder. Now I'll go ahead and extend this line towards the middle as well. And on this line, I'll take the bust measurement divided by 4. Now I'll go ahead and divide the bust measurement by 4. I have 8.25. I'll mark that. I'll also mark 3 inches for allowance. 2 is going to be for ease allowance and 1 for seam allowance. Now I'll place my tape this way and I'll come down by my half length, which is 16 inches. I'll extend the line this way. Now on this line, I'm going to take the waist measurement divided by 4. Now what I did here is to come down by my hip point. As for my shoulder to my hip, which is 24 inches. Now here at the waist, I'm taking the waist measurement divided by 4. I added 3 inches for sewing allowance and ease allowance. And also at the hip line, I took the hip measurement divided by 4 and also added my sewing allowance plus ease allowance. And I'm going to connect from this hip to the waist and I'll connect from the waist to the bust. Now after connecting all my measurements, this is what I have. So at this point at the armhole, I won't be leaving it like this. At that point, I just came down by 2 inches and I will use my curve ruler to blend this with a curve like this. So make sure you don't leave it straight. So just make sure to come down by 2 inches and use your curve ruler to connect. I also connected from the hip line to the dress line here. Now the next thing I did, that from the waistline I came down by 1 inch. This is where I'll be fixing the pockets. Now after cutting, I'm going to make a notch there so that I will know where to place the pockets by the time I start sewing. Now I'll go ahead and cut this out. Now I'm going to put all pieces together this way and make a knot so that by the time I start sewing, I will know exactly where to put the pockets. Next, I'm going to take out the one piece of this. I'm going to take out one, which is going to be for the back. And now let's work on the front neckline. Now the front is going to have a V built up neckline. Now what I did is to come down at that point by 8.5. You can do 8 inches if you want. Now I'm going to connect this into a V neckline. And at that point that I mark 8.5, I'm going to mark 2 inches till I get to the hem, to the length of this here, and I'm going to connect this into a straight line. Now once I'm done connecting this way, at this point here, I'm going to connect it back to the neck width like this. So go ahead and follow these steps and I'll just cut this out. So this is what it looks like after cutting. Now I'm going to use my chalk to mark out the wrong sides of this fabric. Now I'm going to go ahead and join the pieces now. I went ahead to bring the back piece. I laid it open, making sure that the right sides are facing up. Now I brought in these front pieces here. I'm going to lay it on top of the back, making sure they are facing, the right sides are facing each other. Now what I'll go ahead and do next is to go ahead and join them at the shoulders. After joining them on the shoulders, I'll bring it back for you to see what I have. Here is what I have after joining them on the shoulders, as you can see. Now I'll go ahead and place this on a fold like this, and I'll align the back, center back like this, and I'll make a notch there at the center back. Now I'm going to measure from this notch here all through the back neckline, the front neckline, and to this point. I'm going to, so what I did, I just measured from the notch all through to the back neckline like this, to the front, all through the front neckline and to this point. Yeah, and the measurement I got there was about 29 inches. So we're just going to take note of that measurement. So that is what we're going to be using to cut out the collar or the built up neckline. Now this is the fabric that I'll be using. It's a light crepe, so I'm going to use this to cut out the 29 inches that I measured earlier. I'm just going to add like 1 inch or 2 inches to that, so just to be on a safe side. So here I've cut the piece of fabric out. The length I have here is 30 inches and the width is 5 inches. As you can see, the width is 5 inches. Here the length is 30 inches, so I have two of these. I have two of this piece here, as you can see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to iron light interfacing to the wrong side of this piece here. I'll bring it back to show you once I'm done ironing. So this is what it looks like. So I went ahead to iron paper stay to the wrong side of this fabric. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to join this part with 1/2 inch. I'm going to join the two pieces there at the top with just 1/2 inch. Next, I'm going to be taking the measurement from my center back to how deep I want the front neckline to be. So just go ahead and take this measurement on yourself. So initially I marked 13.5 inches, but I later reduced it to 12.5. So just go ahead and measure your from your center back to how deep you want the neckline to be. For me, I did 13.5 inches at first, and I just made a mark there. Now I'm trying to get the midpoint of this fabric here. Remember the width is 5 inches, so the midpoint is going to be 2.5. So that is what I am marking. After marking, I'm going ahead to connect to that point at 13.5, and I will just stop there. Next, I will take this to the sewing machine and stitch on this line that I marked here. I will also stitch on the one that I did here. That is a 1/2 inch to join the both pieces. Here is what I have after stitching. As you can see, I've stitched this part. I also stitched this other part. Now I'm going to be flipping it this way. I'll go ahead and hold two of these pieces like this, as you can see me doing in the video, and I'm going to flip it to this other side. I'll take it to the ironing table and give it a very good press. I'll give it a very good press. So this part at the shoulder, I'm going to be opening it up. I'll open up the same this way and make sure to just iron it properly. This is what I have after I was done ironing, as you can see. Now I'm going to bring in the pieces, the bubble pieces, and we're going to be sewing this to the neckline. Now remember that we cut out 2 inches while we are cutting this now. So opening up the 2 inches, the space we have there is about 4 inches, and this piece of fabric here is 5 inches. So 1/2 inch is going to be used to stitch. You're going to use 1/2 inch to stitch on both sides. So at the end of the day, we'll be left with 4 inches, which we took out from the Bubu. Now go ahead to pin from that joining. I'll pin the joining on this fabric here to the notch that we made earlier on the back neckline. So I'll pin from one side. After I'll pin from one side through the back neckline, the front neckline till I get to the end. And once I'm done pinning that, I'll go over to the other side. I'll pin through and I'll take it to the sewing machine to sew. Here is what I have after stitching. As you can see, I had half an inch shortage on the front panel. So this is because the half an inch was used to stitch, the half an inch from the Ankara fabric was used to stitch this crepe here, which I did not account for. So since I have enough allowance, I'll just go ahead and trim off half an inch from the back pieces. Just go ahead and place the front and the back pieces together, and I'll just trim off half an inch because I already have enough allowances on this already. I'll also be attaching this crepe fabric to the sleeve of this dress. The width I have here is 3 inches and the length is enough to go around the round sleeve measurement. So I already folded half an inch on one side of this piece here, and also I ironed light interfacing to it. And I'm going to sew this on the wrong side of the sleeve with half an inch. Once I'm done sewing, I'll flip it to the other side like this, and I'll just make a top stitch on the parts that I had already folded. I'll also do the same for the other sleeve. Now here is the sleeve. This is what it looks like, as you can see. So before shaping the sides of this bubu, I will go ahead and attach the pockets. So I have my pocket pieces. They are 7 inches wide and the length is about 11 inches. So I'll go ahead and put the four pieces together. I will just make a little curve at the lower part. So I'm going to join them to that notch that I had made earlier. I'll join them, making sure that the right side of the pocket is facing the right side of the bubu. So I will join all four pieces. So after joining, I will prepare my band. Yeah, the ropes that I'll be tying on the sides. I'll prepare the ropes. I'll place it above my waistline, like about 2 to 3 inches above my waistline. I'll place it in between before shaping the sides of my bubu. Once I was done securing the band with pins, I'll go ahead and shape the bubu with 1 inch. So this is what I have. As you can see, after shaping, you can see the pockets. You can see although the pockets are coming out, but I will go ahead and push them inside before putting the gathers. So for the gathers, I have the length of 14 inches that I'll be adding to this lower part to make up the length of the full dress. So to know the amount of fabric that I'll be gathering to give me the fullness that I want, I'll go ahead and measure around the bottom of this bubu. So once I measured what I got there, I'm going to multiply that by 2.5. If you want it fuller, just multiply it by 3 inches. So I multiplied what I have here. Once I measured around, I multiplied it by 2.5, and that is the width of the gathers that I'll have here. So I'll go over to the sewing machine. I'll make gathers on this fabric here. I'll just make gathers and I'll bring it back to show you. I'll gather my pieces here to make sure it fits into this lower part of this bubu. Now once I'm sure that it can go round, I'll go ahead and start sewing. So I'm going to start from the side. I'll start from one side. So before I start, I'm going to leave like half an inch space on this gathered fabric here. This is what I'll be using to join the other side once I'm through. So I'll start by leaving just half an inch space. I'll sew all through till I get to this other end. I will still leave like half an inch. So that is what I'll be using to like close the sides of the gathers like this. Here is what I have after gathering. I also hem the lower parts with the 1.5 inches allowance that I added. I'll weave the rough edges of this dress and I'll give it a very good press on the ironing table, and that'll be all for this dress. Thank you so much for watching. Please do well to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.